we're going down the right path. We're going in the right direction. It's a bright future. And it starts with us, taking this challenge on.
In late 2007, the Manolt First Nations Final Agreement became the second treaty negotiated through the BC Treaty Commission process to be ratified by the provincial legislature. Representing 5 First Nations along Vancouver Island's west coast, the historic treaty included direction for the new Treaty First Nations to join the regional district where they are located within 10 years of the treaty's effective date. Within the alberni-clayoquot regional district, there are treaty settlement lands of 4 First Nations of the Manolt Treaty. On April 1, 2012, 2 of these 4 Treaty First Nations, the Huayet First Nations and the Yuthulathat government, officially joined the alberni-clayoquot regional district.
Well, never before has our regional district expanded in its numbers. We have 10 members representing the 3 municipalities and the 6 electoral areas. We now have 12 members. The 2 new members, Yuthulathat and Huayet First Nations, are new members of our board.
The reason we went into treaty was for economic reasons, and in order to be successful in any economy, it's to be fully integrated in that economy. Now, it's not the entire reason. We're not just doing it because of money and funding and revenue. We're also doing it because we want to be a part of the community of communities, so to speak. And the treaty is the way that we do that.
So what that means in terms of the government administration is that we now have a voice at that table, which is very important to us.
BC's modern treaty process provides a major opportunity for collaborative relationship building between local governments and Treaty First Nations. As treaties are finalized and implemented across the province, local governments and new Treaty First Nations will benefit from a better understanding of how their neighboring governments function, powers and authorities, and the opportunities that a more collaborative working relationship brings.
But some of the challenges are that sort of the unfamiliarity of what the process is.
Maybe they're not aware of actually what is treaty and what's in it, not realizing how it affects us in a positive way.
The uncertainty for, I think, the people around the table at the ACRD with the nation, not knowing actually what our level of participation would be and what seats and how to, what seats we were actually interested in, how the formula is. It's been a challenge.
It took a steep learning curve to understand how services are provided and how they are paid for.
We are now setting out to do the things that regional districts and all local governments have already done for upwards of 100 to 200 years. There's a lot to learn there.
With a dozen First Nations in late stages of the BC Treaty Commission process, the coming years will see many opportunities for local governments to build stronger relationships and work more closely with their First Nations partners.
Treaties are developed between the province, federal government, and the First Nation. As First Nations are joining regional governments, there's really been no roadmap for how that is to happen. So we're developing a program where we can integrate the First Nations within our region, but also establish a roadmap for others and for ourselves moving into the future.
I would try to set up some sort of relationship even before the treaty is effective. To go and meet with the regional district chair, the administration, the whole group.
Our next ACRD board meeting will be here in Ukiwa, so it's an opportunity to, I believe the board's going to go on a bit of a tour to look at some of the things that we're doing here and show them our territory. They've probably never been down here. They may have heard of the things that we're doing, but now we have the opportunity to showcase what we're doing, where we're going.
More public information, getting the average citizen within our community, our regional district, to understand what's going on, what the implications are, understanding what a First Nation is, and in terms of its role, its governance, and there could be broader information available to the public.
The Government of British Columbia, led by the Ministry of Aboriginal Relations and Reconciliation, and supported by the Ministry of Community, Sport and Cultural Development, developed a toolkit to help Treaty First Nations, regional districts, and local governments as treaties are implemented across BC. Building on the learning experiences of Huu-ay-aht, Youth-Lilithat, and the Alberni-clayoquot Regional District, it provides tips and tools to take advantage of the opportunities and address the challenges of expanded regional collaboration.
In terms of collaborations, it's economies of scale. Can we as a government save money on purchasing some of the services of ACRD? Could that help us?
With treated First Nations, we do have infusions of capital, and we do have a bit of a renewed ability to find revenue for ourselves, which allow for us to find partnerships with local governments in order to benefit the whole local economy.
Right now we're looking at what services we provide, what they may have an interest in, and in some cases they may have services that they can help us with too.
I think what First Nations can bring to the table are a different understanding of how decisions can be made, a different viewpoint.
While our board has had open communications with the 10 First Nations within our regional district, we haven't had them as voting members at the table. So now we have broader representation with 2 of them joining the table. We have their voice, we have their consideration, their wisdom when our board considers any issues and makes decisions moving forward. So that's huge.
If you have First Nations at the table, the decisions you make have that much more legitimacy. You don't have to worry about First Nations as being an obstacle to this or that project when they're involved in the decision-making from the get-go.
Most importantly will be the relationships themselves, which will be the basis of a brighter future for all British Columbians.
Ultimately, the goal is to have all of the 10 First Nations within the regional district at our table, to have a 20-plus member board, to be bursting at the seams in terms of space here, but to be a functioning regional government incorporating all of the communities that exist within our regional district.
I think my mentor, colleague, friend, Tom Happynook said it best, that on April 1st, 2011, the effective date of the treaty, was the first time he really felt like a citizen of Canada, really part of the Canadian community, so to speak.